morning, everyone. Welcome to our fifth in this series on self-care. And so last week we talked about letting go of resentment against others and aggression against others in our day-to-day lives as a pivotal point of self-care, and how meditation can assist with this kind of psychological and spiritual maturity. And we're going to continue with that today with a meditation and visualization, like a conflict management meditation. And so the other thing I'd like to do is reframe our meditation so that my discussion and lecture portion is at the beginning rather than during the meditation, so we can really focus on deepening our practice rather than returning to sort of fully conscious listening academic mode. And so I'll be speaking more at the beginning and then less during the guided practice. And during the guided practice, not returning to any lecture points, only providing guidance for our meditation. In our conflict management visualization meditation today, we will be sitting with our usual meditation anchors, but also after we deepen our practice with those anchors, we will be moving on to visualizing certain situations where we would like to manifest our highest and best. And so just visualizing ourselves handling conflict more successfully. And the key point in this meditation is the self-care aspect. How can we handle conflict? How can we perceive and interpret conflict so that it's not personal? And a great example of that is road rage. When we are driving and someone cuts us off, we take it personally as a signal of disrespect. And we don't know anything about what's going on with the other person, but likely the disrespect is not what's intended. Likely they just didn't notice, made a mistake. We're in a rush and really had to go. And so how can we train ourselves to take all of this less personally? And what that does is remove us from this constant victim position where we perceive ourselves as offended and victimized in these tiny little circumstances. So, the grocery store or any conflict with a stranger, waiting in line and being aggressive with the cashier or resenting the people in front of us. And just how many of our thoughts about strangers, our reactions to strangers, have to do with everyone being dumb and everyone's in my way? And alas, what is in our heart is how we are going to feel about the world. If in these little moments we feel that other people are in our way, that's how we perceive the world to be. That nothing is working for us. Everything should be working perfectly for us. I should have won the lottery. I should have everything I want. I should be rich. I should be beautiful, whatever. There's this massive sense of entitlement and a constant sense of rage and victimization that we don't have all of this stuff. So that is the psychotic output of American culture now being pumped around the globe. And that, unfortunately, that toddler mentality has really penetrated deep into other cultures. I see it in Canada all the time. And part of our self-care is just getting out of that trap, getting out of that inaccurate and very infantile way of cognition. It's pretty not helpful for managing real life, where lots happens that is not personal towards us. And one of the pivotal points in developing psychological maturity from child to teen to adult is that we don't feel like we're at the center of the world anymore. And if as adults we constantly do that, we just haven't reached psychological maturity. And here we are. Welcome to 2025. So we are aiming We are aiming for these basic emotional regulatory skills, and meditation can help us get there. That's just a stepping stone to spiritual maturity. And for me personally, that is my biggest goal in life, is working towards spiritual maturity. And how am I trying to do that? Am I going to an ashram? Am I retiring to a monastery? No, I'm just trying to be a kinder person in my day-to-day life. I'm trying to be an easier person. I'm trying to pay attention to when I am not flexible and helpfully responsive in my thinking. I want to be helpfully responsive by default rather than angrily reactive. In all little situations, with my family, with work, with myself, that's the hard one. And of course, with strangers. So, all right. So that's that's the lecture portion of this meditation. And now we are going to dig into the practice. We will probably do the practice for about 10 minutes. I will try to cap our sessions as usual at 15 or 20 minutes. And so beginning by getting into a posture that is strong and straight, calling up the mindful body as our starting point for meditation, connecting our busy thoughts to the body that supports and makes it all happen in the invisible. Being compassionate and respectful to our bodies as we sink into this mind and body connection that holds our practice together. Attitude of respect, care, compassion, and gentleness for both our minds and our bodies grounds and guides our practice. And inhaling deeply, noticing the rise and fall of the torso as we continue to breathe. And eyes open or closed, whatever allows you to develop more focus. Now stretching our awareness to encompass sound, noticing the sounds within the body. Pay attention to the sound of breath and the sound of swallowing. Noticing the minutiae of our bodies with respect, care, compassion, and gentleness. Noticing if it's easy to breathe or a little harder to breathe. And don't push anything. We're just allowing what is to be. Stretching out our awareness further to notice the sounds in our practice room. Perhaps you hear fans and furnaces, other people and pets in your home or place of practice. Notice all those other beings and machines within our close proximity, again with respect, care, and wonder. For all of the thoughts they carry, the decisions they make, the work they do, all of that normally invisible to us. As we slow down our thoughts and pay attention to all of the tiny things in and around around us that make it all work. Stretching out our awareness further, perhaps we can hear traffic on the streets, dogs barking next door, the sound of birds, and just visualizing the many people and beings outside of our practice container. In my case, it's this house. And just imagining all of the neighbors and their pets and their needs and their worries. As I stretch out my awareness, I am at the center of my circle and stretching out my awareness. How far does my radius go? My radius of care, awareness, compassion, gentleness. Continuing to breathe and sending out our field of awareness and care, encompassing all that is within a nearby radius. And just sitting with that expanded awareness of ourselves outside our own bodies. Noticing how liberating it feels to offer our care and ease towards others. Noticing how wonderful it feels to touch everything within our field with care and kindness and compassion and respect and gratitude, appreciation. The loudest sound I hear now is this furnace, and hooray for keeping me warm. Thank you, furnace. Noticing the stillness of our bodies inside our minds and outside as we sit on our practice mat or floor or lying in bed. Always with gratitude and compassion. And as we continue to sit, observing our bodies, observing the breath, calling to mind any situation recently where we've had conflict, where we have been reactive unhelpfully instead of constructively responsive in a way that is psychologically and spiritually mature so that we can align with our highest and best goals and values as a human. Where have we missed the mark? Where have we made an error? Where have we not responded skillfully? I have an absolute rush of opportunities for practice, and I hope you have a few as well. Looking for, calling to mind opportunities to resolve conflict with people close to us, friends, family, colleagues, and also strangers. Visualizing ourselves in the heat of the moment, able to take a deep breath before we react with a hostile thought or word. And let's continue to do that. Sit with the hot feelings that arise as we visualize conflict. Usually it's a sense of being disrespected, pushed around, rage. These are unprocessed childhood emotions. You know, being bullied or being in abusive relationships. These are unprocessed emotions that are now steering the ship. Do we want that? Do we want that for ourselves? In our practice, we are choosing something different. With each breath, we acknowledge that we are not victims, that we are safe, that we get to choose how we respond skillfully in any situation. Always, our first recourse is the breath, before thinking, before reacting, before speaking. A deep breath to confirm we are safe, we are strong. And the actions of others can't threaten that. How wonderful is that? Not to feel at the whim of others' emotions and actions. My sense of safety and strength is within. As we inhale and exhale, let's affirm that mantra. My sense of safety and strength is within. And let's exhale any hot feelings of rage and victimization and anger, lashing out against others. For any perceived offenses that we have misperceived, let's commit to no longer misperceiving. The breath here is our power tool to diffuse that dynamite of misperception. And just always with a sense of gratitude and appreciation for this great sense of power we have to not be subject to the whims of others, to the actions of others. Let's call to mind any interactions with strangers that we can handle more skillfully to affirm our true strength and power. If you're a driver, let's visualize being cut off in traffic. Or if you're taking public transit, let's visualize not getting the seat you want, or something like that. Whatever comes to mind, whatever circumstance may seem to frustrate you. Let's sit with the hot feelings that arise at the moment of perceived, misperceived offense. And exhale. And as we inhale, we say or think, my strength and safety lies within, and nothing can be threatened from outside. It is time to bring this practice to a close. I invite you to carry this meditation with you through the week. If you do have any circumstances or events that have come to mind that you would like to journal through right now, I do invite you to do that, because once they are out of your head, they wield way less power over us. It's remarkable what that does. If you want to talk it into your phone, talk it over with a friend, write it into a journal, and then release it. You don't need to come back to it and process it. However, if you find you are returning to the same situations over and over again, that's going to need a little bit of processing to figure out what we're actually hanging on to and not releasing. And what do we value in hanging on to it? We obviously value something there more than we value affirming our own strength and safety, which is unfortunately not so helpful for self-care. Do we all do that? Yes. Can we all benefit from that? Yes. For me personally, I also pray for the strength to receive help and also for the willingness to let go of what no longer serves. Because sometimes I'm not willing. Sometimes I want what I want. And I want to have a tantrum if I don't get it. And so I pray for the willingness to receive the help I need to become more psychologically and spiritually mature. Thank you for joining me today. If you would like to join this practice live, please write me at calgarymindfulness@gmail.com, and please visit our website at calgarymindfulness.ca for many more meditations, resources, workshops. It is now April, early April in Calgary, so it is too wet and cold for meeting outside, but we're going to be doing that pretty soon over the summer months. Thank you again for joining with me, and looking forward to seeing you next week. Have a wonderful day.